Hi, this is a video response to iLastDays. You placed a comment or a video response to my video on the blasphemy challenge, and I wanted to respond. So, hi, how you doing? Nice to meet you. I want to thank you for your very generic comment to my video. You didn't actually address the video as such, my challenge, my blasphemy challenge. You simply criticised my atheism, which is fine because I'm happy to defend it, but I wish you had been a little bit more honest in the premise, which was to lure me to your video and presumably make me think. It has made me think, and that's a good thing, so thank you. Anyway, the Watchmaker argument, or first cause as it's also known. Now this is so flawed that I can't believe people are still using this in the 21st century. I'll nevertheless respond to your claim and, comment on a few of the assumptions that you make. Now, they are false assumptions, unfortunately. The first one is that you assume that everything was intelligently designed. This is true when we consider cars, when we consider houses, ships, airplanes, pencils, cans of soda, and that's fine. But there are many things in the world which are not designed intelligently. Many examples. No intelligent design. Take, for instance, the diamond. The diamond can be created artificially in laboratory. We can create artificial diamonds by compressing and heating to extreme heats and pressures carbon, and you can create artificial diamonds, and it does look good and looks fine and dandy. But the vast majority of diamonds on the planet are actually 100% natural, created by hundreds of thousands of years or hundreds of millions of years even of extreme pressures and heats at very low depths in the Earth's crust. There's no intelligent design there. It's just simple molecular physics of heat and pressure. You could of course state, well, what creates the carbon? You'll of course assume that it's God, but that's irrelevant, because the key here is that something does not need a creator. There's no creator to turn something into diamond. There's no link between carbon and diamond. There's no intelligence. There's no God. There's no designer. It's an entirely physical, natural process. So that criticism is not relevant to the question. Another good example is the egg. A chicken does not put any intelligence or thought into the development of its offspring. Sure, the DNA will tell the embryo, well, I need 2 legs, I need 2 wings, I need a beak and claws, but that's not intelligence. It's a simple biological process. Now, additionally, you seem to draw an arbitrary line on where you want to put or where you want to stop your first cause argument. You say, what created the car? And then you say, what created the designers of the car? And then you say, well, what created life on Earth? And then you say, well, what created the universe? And then you stop for no reason at all. You stop and you say, well, God did it. Now, that's God of the gap fallacy, of course, but moving beyond that, you're a Christian, you believe in God, and therefore your ultimate argument blocker is God. Now, I could of course say, well, it could be Odin, but I'll move on to that next. What created your God? In your evolution of design, you've gone from non-complex to highly complex, from non-life rather to life to artificial constructs created by life. So you have an evolution of complexity. But what you've done at the very beginning is create an infinitely complex being at the very start, and that makes no sense whatsoever. Now, additionally, you don't explain what created God. Did other gods create God? And what created them? So you see, what you've done is you've drawn a line in the sand and you've stopped it there where it suits you. You're not being consistent. So now you could of course say, well, God's outside of time. Good answer, but not really an answer at all, because you'd have to prove this. You'd have to prove to me that something can exist outside of time, and then you'd have to prove to me that Odin, Shiva, Bobo the celestial donkey, the flying spaghetti monster, the pink hippo, Krishna, Quetzalcoatl, Freya, and others are not outside of time. And of course you need to explain to me why an omniscient, so knows everything, omnipresent, is everywhere, and omnipotent, can do everything, being would just bother creating a universe and an imperfect being like man. Why does
a God need anything? Why does it bother to do anything if it knows the answers already? What you've done is you've started with a conclusion, and then you've followed a train of logic, and then when it suits you, you've pulled on the emergency brake and you've jumped off. You don't care where the train is going. It just suits you to get off there without following the logic through. So, now having proven you wrong there, I want to play the devil's advocate, because I think there's a lot more to be said about the Watchmaker argument. You state that design is proof of intelligence. It's wrong, fine, we've already seen that this is false. But let me take your idea and show you that concluding that the God of Abraham did it is both premature and irrational. You take the example of a car. Now, a car needs a designer, true, but it's not entirely accurate, is it? Because a single man or woman alone does not build a car. It takes designers, it takes engineers, it takes labourers, it takes maintenance people, it takes safety experts, it takes computer technicians, it takes managers, it takes a board of directors, it takes a marketing department, it takes publicity, and all of those things, including robots, to build a car. So it doesn't just take one person, it takes several people, it takes a team of people to work on that, and in addition to that, not only do you need to build a car, but you need to build the components to put into the car. So it takes different factories, other people, more designers, more architects, more workers. So it's a team of designers, and furthermore, man doesn't suddenly say, well, I've no idea what a car is, but tomorrow I'm going to be building a Ford Escort. No, there's an evolution in design that has now spanned 150 years, from non-complex to complex, from steam engines to highly environmentally friendly internal combustion engines. Nowhere in your first cause or watchmaker argument do you actually make a case for the designer to be your particular God, the God of Abraham. At best, you've done nothing more than make a case for deism, which is the belief that intelligence created the universe and then had nothing else to do with it, not a personal God. Your claim does not support a personal saviour, and I think in fact you're making a very, very good defence for, well, all of the other gods out there, as well as polytheism, the belief in several gods. If you want to attribute the existence of your car or of life on Earth to a supernatural entity, you have to demonstrate a little bit more imagination, and you can't just conclude, well, my conclusion is right because my conclusion is right. You have to say, well, it could be Odin, it could be Freya, it could be Loki, it could be Zeus, could be Hephaestus, could be Baal, Poseidon, Jupiter, Mercury, Hermes, Quetzalcoatl, Shiva, Krishna, the coyote spirit, or maybe even Horus. Or it could be a combination of these guys, or even could be a combination of all of them, or perhaps maybe it's an alien civilization, or maybe it's a computer simulation. What if life is what if the universe is a gigantic computer simulation? Now, I don't believe in any of these, but these are things that you have to consider before arbitrarily deciding, well, my God did it, fuck everybody else. You are trying to do the right thing because you're trying to ask questions and you're trying to get to a specific answer, but you can't be objective when you start with a conclusion. You need to look at the evidence first, and then you draw a hypothesis, and then you look at the evidence again, and then you draw a conclusion. That's how things work. Now, if your conclusion is theism, then I'm afraid that the only defendable stance is agnostic theism. That is to say that, well, maybe there's a God, but I don't know who it is, because there's no proof, and that's what you need. Ciao. Thanks for listening.